Welcome to be here. Welcome to the
Thank you.
Emster
Thank you.
podcast. I'm Emily Wicks, Emily in Everett. I am here with my friend Sam Minter, and we're doing a special primary election night live stream. Never done this before, so we'll see how it goes, see what happens. How are you, Sam? How was your day? And, I got to pick on you.
Okay.
I think you're a bad voter.
Because I wait till the last minute.
Or is that what you like to do?
Well, it is the habit that we've had. So, we're recording this at 7:40 p.m. Pacific time in Seattle, and the ballots are due by 8. I dropped my ballots off at the drop box at about 7. And that is typically what I've done most elections, and it's sort of like, it's honestly like a family ritual tends to be most elections, where we'll do all the elections, we'll gather all the envelopes, and then we'll all go and we'll drop it off at the drop box together. This time my wife Brandy left her ballot for me. She did it early in the day. She's like off getting her hair done or something because she wants something that'll distract her from the election. Mm-hmm. And then we drop it off usually within the last couple hours. And I know the best advice is do it as soon as possible for all kinds of reasons, because you never know when something will get away from you. I'll tell you the times I have not done that. Like in 2024 and in 2020, I did not do that. Because, with Donald Trump on the ballot, he'd already won once in 2016, whatever. I was like, I am not risking anything. We took care of the ballot. We turned it in like basically right away, and did not do anything day of. But usually we end up doing it day of because, we're procrastinators all around. But, my theory
I just do not like that. I have to make sure I go into vote.wa.gov or votewa.gov. I don't know what it is. You can find it easily, even if you put it in there wrong. And you can see that your ballot was picked up and that it was counted, Like because one year I mailed it early and it didn't make it. Get there somehow.
Oh, man.
And I panicked the day of elections and I had to fill out print a ballot and all that. But, today they're like, it was counted. So the option to reprint my ballot was grayed out because I couldn't do it.
Of course.
My ballot was accepted. So it's such a great tool. And I was with some folks today sign waving and they didn't realize that. So it was great that I taught someone about that because I was like, hey, I should check and see. And also trying to check and see how many ballots were returned in Washington.
My old theory back in the day, well, first of all, really back in the day, it was all day of in-person voting, and that was a whole different story. But, once my theory, the first few times I had the option of mail-in voting was, I'm going to wait till the last minute because what if something changes? What if there's new news about one of these candidates and I change my mind? And, I'll tell you these days, no, that is not going to happen. There's not something that's going to happen in the last week before the election that is fundamentally going to change things so much that, what? I'll vote for the Republican after all. No,
no, thank you.
It's not happening. And so yeah, I have no real excuse other than procrastination. And it's sort of the tradition that we all do it together at the end. But, you never know. I mean, honestly, things could happen. Like earlier this year, I had a health event. I was in the hospital for a while. If that had happened this morning, it would have stopped me from voting.
Exactly.
Because I would be busy in the ER or something.
Imagine the people in Spokane who didn't get their ballots in and their houses burned down.
Exactly.
For those that are maybe watching this or hearing this, and don't know, there are some huge fires in Spokane. It is really upsetting. It is really sad to see these suburban neighborhoods where you wouldn't think that you would get anything but a house fire because someone left a curling iron on have been decimated.
The pictures are horrible.
So depressing.
But yeah, but you never know. Something could happen. So the earlier you get it in, the better. Don't take my example. Take
Exactly.
Emily's.
Don't. Yeah. I know. I want people to vote. Well, also speaking of maybe changing our minds, do you think there might be people that are on the verge of changing their minds in Michigan at those last minute? I mean, do you like? I feel like there was people that were negotiating up until the very end. This wasn't against choosing a Republican; it was choosing between two Democrats. We have
Well,
Haley
yeah, yeah.
Stevens
I
and
mean, honestly, there are lots of in every election. I mean, those of us who are like junkies for this stuff, we know what we're going to do like years in advance. We have very well settled opinions. We spend some time thinking about it. At least on the big candidates, I fully admit, like this time around, there were a bunch of like nonpartisan Supreme Court races on my ballot, and I'm like, I don't know any of these people. And I asked my wife, who does know some of those people, first, which one of these people and why. And she sort of explained her thought process on each one of them, and I voted. But like, honestly, like on that kind of thing, like on a race I haven't been following, I could very well like not have the information and be, I don't know, like up till the very last minute. And the thing that is really hard for people who are politics junkies to comprehend is that for most people, it's like that for every race. They are not paying attention until the moment they're sitting at the ballot, like, or very soon before. And that's why, like, we still have, voter turnout is generally pitiful. Most people don't vote at all.
Yeah, Washington State, I was just looking at the data, and I mean, to me on the state's side, it's 24.87%, which is low, but I feel like higher than 22%, which I feel like is what I've seen before, but that might be Snohomish County, our average, and that is actually where Snohomish County is at. We're at 22.92%. So there
well,
is,
and we are talking about primaries, and primaries are usually lower than general, and the off years are less than presidential years. Midterms are less than presidential years, and off years are even less than that. And that's all normal. But even in the best turnout we ever have, there's a huge portion that's not voting at all. And so, yeah, absolutely. I think in Michigan, in the Democratic primary, there are absolutely a significant portion of people who made up their minds in the hour before they voted.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And there's a lot on the line for this primary, I feel like, both across the nation and in our state right here, but just for a variety of different reasons. What will happen in November as a result of it, we don't really know. But I would like to get your take, like your real take on the race. And so for people that are maybe not following this, or like me, are just really glued in today because the Daily did an episode about it. And I was like, let's see what's going to happen. I don't like to tell people in other states what to do or what I think. I just love eating popcorn, watching, and seeing how it works out. But we have Haley Stevens running in Michigan. She has run twice and won difficult races. She serves in the House currently, running against new candidate, kind of anti-party, anti-establishment, Abdul El Sayed. He's coming in like the Bernie, like the AOC. And I think the big concern, like, I get where people are coming from. They're talking about electability, right? And what that means to different people, honestly, and what people are looking for. What do Michiganders like? And honestly, who can compete? But I think the big thing that bothers me, or that I think is just super concerning, is how much money she is getting from AIPAC. She's not just getting, she's like historically has the most money from AIPAC, which is, as I was telling my husband, trying to explain, basically Israel. And the vibes are not good right now, to say the very least. So curious about your thoughts on electability, like what you think will happen. I don't want to say that either of them can't win, but
so
I don't know.
Well, first of all, I'll do the general election polls on the two matchups. right now. There have been a bunch of poll. I just brought up the polling aggregate at 270 to win, and I don't have a particular preference from them over other aggregators. They just happen to be the first that came up on my Google search. But Stevens versus Rogers right now, the polling average over a whole bunch of polls recently is a dead tie, 44.3 versus 44.3. Rogers is the Republican. It's a dead tie, whereas El Said versus Rogers, Rogers is ahead, 46.7 to 42.3. Now, honestly, that second one is still close. It's within reasonable margin of error, but it's a lead. Okay. And there have been some recent polls. There was one poll showing it tied, like last week. There were several showing El Said ahead in that matchup as well, like in June and early July. So they're both close, but you could, if you're gonna make the electability argument, I want to look at the polls. I want to look at what people are actually polling on that, not go by vibes of like, oh, well, he's automatically going to do less well because people are racist and he's, got an Arabic name or whatever. Show me the polls.
I think the vibes are bad
data.
for Haley Stevens because of AIPAC money.
Well, here's the thing. They're different vibes.
They're different.
There's the vibes for the primary and there's the vibes for the general. And this is the whole thing that is mapped out. For the primary, El Said has been winning by a significant margin over Stevens in all of the recent polling. Now, election results so far tonight have El Said ahead, but by nowhere near the margins the polls were showing. The polls had him ahead by, 7-8%, some even like above 10. Right now with 38% in, he's ahead by 4%. Okay. So El Said is winning. But the question and the strategy of the whole thing and the sort of, are you second guessing yourself or whatever, is it does look like Stevens would have been stronger in the general election. And so do you within the Democratic Party, there's clearly, although like I said, it's a lot closer than it was looking in the polls, at least so far. We still have like 60% yet to report as we're recording this. But within Democrats, there has been this anti-establishment move. There's been this very strong move of, hey, the unquestioning support of Israel and its policies has diminished greatly. And there's a big controversy over that within the Democratic side. There's a little bit of that even on the Republican side, to be honest, but less so. And so there's the question of, if you have a situation where the Democrats clearly prefer one candidate over another, but that candidate is weaker in the general election because they have a harder time getting moderates or converted Republicans. What is the right strategy? How do you deal with that? Like, do you prefer getting, okay, I got the candidate I prefer in the primary, but I end up with somebody who loses to a Republican in the general? Or do you say, hey, I'm gonna try to think strategically and figure out who will win the general, and maybe it's not my favorite candidate, but they're better than the Republicans, so I'm still going to vote for them because they're more likely to win. And when do you think yourself into a corner and like mess yourself up because you're trying to double and triple guess? Like, it's not who I prefer, it's who do I think other people will more prefer, but you're not really in those other people's heads. And the other thing that people say repeatedly on it, and sorry for yammering on, let me just finish this one last point. People say that pre-primary polling of the general is not really necessarily as representative as you would like it to be, because things change after the primary. Once they're definitively the candidate, then people who may be in their general election poll saying, if it really is that person, I'm just going to stay home, will decide, actually, no, I'm not.
And I think
come home.
that there is a segment of people that would just stay home if they didn't get their way. And I know like it would be some of the El Said folks. I would, if Haley Stevens got through, I feel like there'll be people that will be like, no, I'm staying home.
This was definitely a factor in 2016. It was definitely a factor in 2024.
This is anecdotal. This is evidence and facts. We've seen it, but I don't think that's the other way around for folks that are Haley Stevens supporters, because I think like I would rally around. I mean, they're going to have to rally around that if they want to win the Senate, win back the Senate. Like these are critical races. But I think there's a group of people that don't give a F, don't give a crap.
That's absolutely true. I mean, and one thing that people have said many times before, but I think unfortunately has not followed through in some of these years, is don't worry about like the general election when you're doing the primary. Don't try to outthink it. Just vote for the person you like. And then if your favorite candidate doesn't win, still go all in for whoever did win on your side. Assuming you're a Democrat, go for the Democrat, right? Whoever won the primary. And because that's the choice you've got. But a lot of people do stay home if their favorite didn't win. I think like, and this is hard for me. And I have said when talking about 2024 before, and now in talking about 2028, I have said I am going to pay attention to the polls. It's not just, I'm not just going to vote for my favorite candidate based on like, who would I prefer no matter what? I'm going to look at who's most likely to beat the Republican, because I figure anybody that the Democrats put out is going to be better than whoever the Republicans put out. And so at this point, I care, I want to win. And that's part of my decision-making process, even if it means the candidate who I end up voting for at the primary stage is someone who's not my ideal candidate in other ways. Yeah. And now here in Washington State, we're going to be late enough in the primary calendar for president that's going to be decided by the time it gets to us. But, but for this kind of thing, certainly it's hard to put myself in the Michigan perspective. And it's also like, if it's close, like here, polling shows El Said is a little bit weaker than Stevens in the general election, but a little bit weaker and still with a shot.
A little bit weaker, I think, but I also think there's going to be people that are pissed, right? You both lose and potentially pick up candidates. Like maybe Haley Stevens can get some Republican votes, I guess, at that point, but I doubt it. Like, I just don't think that's going to happen, but she will lose a lot of Abdul El Said folks. She will lose, like, some of those people will do that. I just think they'll be mad. And so I don't know.
And again, the only objective thing I can point to is the polls that are already out there in the field. But and the thing we have to think about this year too is it's not just one senator. We're in a close race for control of the Senate overall. So every Senate seat potentially matters a lot. And honestly, if you go back 6 months, 9 months, the people were saying, it's almost impossible for the Democrats to take the Senate. Like they have a good shot at the House, but it's almost impossible that they'd take the Senate. Things have deteriorated since then for the Republicans. And now it's like, the Democrats are probably going to take the House. It's not 100%. Like I've seen estimates from 60 to 80% odds for the Democrats taking the House, but the Senate, Democrats or like at 40%, 40 or 50%. So the Republicans are still favored for the Senate. And there's just a handful of seats at play, and every single one of them matters. And so that almost tilts me a little bit more towards, hey, I'm just gonna vote for the one who wins. Again, I'm not in Michigan, but that's the fundamental trade-off that's there. And to me, it's like, it's so much easier when it's just like, which candidate do I like better? Which one's policies do I like the best? All of this kind of stuff. But at this point, you know, I think you have to think about the next stage as well. But I do want it to be driven by some sort of data or information, and not just sort of vibes about how I think it will go.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, just look at the poly market. Just go on there and see what people say. JK. Yeah, he just added 2 more points. I just hope people rally around the person who is headed into the general. Like, hands down, let's win. You know what I mean? Let's win. Let's not be upset. Well, and since, you know, we talked a little bit about, I was showing the live results. I don't know if will it show my other parts of my screen. Nope, it doesn't. It stays on those results. That's interesting.
And I'm
enough,
interested. You've got like slightly ahead of me. You've got 42% reporting on the one you're looking at, and I'm only at 41.
Yeah, I just pulled up results, and that's what came up. But it should be really shameful for Skagit and Snohomish County that Spokane County has 27.25% voter turnout. That even in a region where they're burning, they are voting at a higher percentage than us. Very disappointed with you all, Snohomish County. Pacific County is, and Lewis County, 31%, over 31%. Wahkiakum, I mean, honestly, it's not that hard for Wahkiakum. There's only, 3,700 voters there. So, but percentage-wise, they're doing it, and they probably have to travel pretty far to get their ballot in. So there's some disappointment here. But I want to just kindly talk about Spokane a little bit. I know you're not following all the legislative races, but I think because your spouse is in the legislature, this will be interesting. Depending
just to
on
put
what
that
happens.
out, my spouse is Brandy Donaghy, who's the state rep in the 44th, and so I am in my other window refreshing the election results, which should be shown any second now. To see what the first drop is for her primary race. It's just her and one Republican. So Washington State is so weird with these things. The primary, it's a jungle primary, so the top 2 go on to the general election, but they still have it even when they're just 2. So, and they're just 2 in her case. So it's essentially just a preview of the general election. So.
Yeah. So in the 6th, we have the 6th legislative district is likely, it's like plus 10 red. That's just me like making a number, but like just to say that it is an R district, and after redistricting, it got even more red. So I think the last person to get pretty close in the 6th LD, which is like right outside of Spokane. Spokane is the 3rd legislative district, and it's like Spokane proper. It's all Democrats represent that area, the 3rd district, but the 6th is like very conservative. But we have 2 people leaving office in the House in the 6th. So we have a couple Democrats running in there, but we have a bunch of people going for one of the seats. And we have a guy named Bingle, who's like a real estate agent or something. He's a Republican running. You have Aaron Croft, who is running as an independent. And you have Julia Payne, who's running as a Democrat. Now, the funny thing that happened here is that I told Julia to run for that seat because no one wanted to run there against Bingle, essentially. But the other seat was just filling up, and I was like, you could either run as a Democrat in this seat or you can run against 5 other people for the other seat. And so the Aaron Croft guy is running as an independent. He's garnered a lot of support from various groups, but for some reason, I just don't think we're going to win there. And the independents think that they're like God's greatest gift, like, and that we've like figured something out. And if we run as an independent in these areas, we're going to win. But the fact is, like, Washington hasn't elected an independent since the year our state was formed.
Okay. That's a while.
Yeah. And so it's just interesting. It'll be really interesting to see who moves forward in that race. But my concern is that, you know, if Julia goes forward and doesn't win, they'll be like, oh, we should have had an independent, which, you know, is not the case. And so like I'm a little up in the air on that seat because I just don't think we're going to get anyone but a Republican in the 6th. But I kind of hope Aaron gets through. I'm sorry, Julia. I do want you to get through. But if at least women won't get blamed when he loses. That's where I'm at with it.
The Washington state results are in now.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
My wife's had 60-40.
Amazing. Well, what I didn't realize was that the person running against her, the guy owns the house next to me. Or the person that's running against her.
Oh, it's your neighbor?
It's not my neighbor. It's the landlord.
Oh, okay. So her opponent owns the place and rents it to your neighbor.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I understand.
If you can imagine, do you know who lived there before?
Your co-host.
Sammy Blood. Yes.
Nice.
And she didn't know either. I didn't know his last name. So, I mean, how many Chris's are out there? A lot, right? So I just didn't even process that. All right.
Beautiful.
Susan Del Bene. Okay, I wanted to know how Hunter Gordon did, and that makes me laugh. No offense, Hunter Gordon, but that makes me laugh. I mean, well, we'll look at those later because we need more information for those. Okay. Clyde Shavers is losing. Dave Paul is winning. Way to go, Dave. Stacey Willoughby is it's close. You don't even care. Stacey Willoughby's in.
Like
okay,
most of these I don't know. I know a handful of races that Brandy's been talking about. So give some background on each one when you go through it.
Well, I'm just processing this information.
That's okay. That's what live stuff is like.
Yeah, the 10th is tricky. It's always been tricky. It's represented by a Republican senator, and then 2 House members are Democrats. They're nervous Nellies in those seats always. Dave Paul's excellent. Clyde Shavers is a very nice person, but he also has just, I would say, drama that is not all his fault, but there's some drama with him. And so that's a little concerning, but I think he can still make it through. I think that the numbers will go in his direction. It's not too far off. So the 10th, but Dave seems to be doing pretty well, although I'm a little bit concerned with those numbers too. I mean, at least he's on the over 50 side, but combined with the 2 others that are running there, that's a pretty tight race. Stacey Willoughby in the 12th. This is a huge district. There are, I mean, it includes Chelan and Monroe, which if you're not familiar with our state, those are like on other sides of the state, essentially. And it also includes North Bend, parts of North Bend. So it goes into King County, which is also on the west side, as well as going all the way to Chelan. And so, yeah, the fires, the smoke, that's what's happening. The folks in those races have recruited money from their evangelicals, raised like $300,000, which is pretty insane for a House race. So we're really concerned there, and I think Stacey has a great chance. She's well known in the community. I'm really pulling for her there. And then I'm honestly pulling for like Mike Steele. He's a Republican, but he's the lesser of two evils of the
Okay.
Republicans. Marco Elias is doing just fine. He's senator in the 21st. The 21st we're pretty not super concerned with. I'm really glad he's beating Riaz Khan, who I don't know what political party he's into. He's into like just anyone who will take a photo with him, in my opinion.
Okay.
Strom's doing fine in the 21st as well. Another race I wanted to follow was the Senate seat in the 32nd, where we have a sitting House member going up against a sitting senator. So Cindy Ryu is challenging Jesse Solomon, and Cindy Ryu is kicking his butt, it looks like 40 to 35%.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah. The 32nd in the replacement seat for Cindy Ryu's position, Danica Noble is coming ahead, which makes me very happy. That's incredible. And then there's the Republicans. So out of all the Democrats that are there, it looks like Danica Noble will be the one to make it through, which that gives me great joy because we need women in these seats. Lauren Davis is surprisingly far ahead of her opponent, who is also a Democrat. Glad to see June Robinson is doing well. Glad to see Julio Cortez. This is my legislative district, the 38th. Everett, Marysville, and Tulalip. And Mary Fossey, sorry, she was hiding. She's unopposed, so she's doing great. And then, all right, we're getting closer. I really want to know in the 39th, this is a generally conservative district. It's Arlington, some of Marysville, like really rural districts or areas. It has Darrington, Marble Mount, those places. Ida is doing pretty well, but she's going to face a pretty tough general because if you add up everybody else's, you'd want her to be more in the Dave Paul range of 50%. But happy to see that. Okay. John Lovick's doing great. Brandy's up by 60% almost. April's up by over 60%. Looking good in the 44th. Okay, Supreme Court. We'll talk about that another time.
She, by the way, a quote from her by text, she's okay with that.
That's great.
Brandy's
She's
okay
just
with where she was.
that.
She was nervous that it was going to be a lot closer. I kept trying to reassure her, but she was nervous. But I think that's a nice, healthy lead.
I don't blame her for
bad.
being nervous when, like, frankly, like, white men are, like, having their time right now. No offense to them, but, like, they're really, like, you know, having their time. So I'm nervous about it, too, and I'm really glad to see that she's doing well for a lot of reasons. One, I want her to be there, and she's a wonderful leader, and I just need her to have that number. Absolutely. Do you care about the Supreme Court races?
Well, I was saying earlier, like I care about it in theory, but I didn't recognize any of the names. I didn't know any of the people. I really relied on my wife's advice and the fact that she does know many of these names. Even there, in some cases, she was like, you know, I don't actually know all of them on these cases, so I relied on endorsements and other things like that. But some of the names she knows personally and was able to tell me, oh, this one's good because of XYZ. But of course, I've already forgotten. Like, you know, for the legislative seats in the 44th, I've met all three Democrats. You know, I've met Susan DeBene for the congressional side. You know, I've met some of these other candidates, but a lot of these other, like these races, I don't know these folks. You know, and it's like, if I didn't have Brandy, I would have scheduled several hours to be Googling all of these names. And honestly, you know, I'm glad I did have Brandy because it saved that time. But, you know, lots of people wouldn't. They'd just be like, I don't know these people. But if you know anything about these races, please educate me.
I mean, well, I will tell you that attorneys that I trust and folks on the Democratic side that are, fighting for equity and justice and good people that you'd want on your Supreme Court, people that I trust. They have been doing a really big push. So it makes me sad that you haven't heard this. I even posted a link. I never really look at text messages, but I saw a
Okay.
text message that said, here's who to vote for judge. And they did an incredible job saying beware, because there's a lot of concerns about Washington state, similar to our U.S. Supreme Court, being taken over
Right.
by the right. And so they've been working really hard to make sure that doesn't happen. And in a couple of these races, there are two Democrats running, and they have been really good about saying, hey, we're going to tell you to vote for either of these two people. They are both good, but don't vote for the other people. So I posted on Facebook what they sent me. It said, beware,
Okay.
and I said, this is important, but I think it's just stifled. No one likes it. No one looked, no one clicked, no views, nothing. So
I'm sorry. I didn't
fuck
even see it.
Facebook.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, it's not your fault. It's the fucking algorithm. Like, that's what it is. And you know what that deserves right now, really quick, because we're not talking about him, but Yvonne needs to be here. It deserves this.
The Joe Rogan. The fucking loser.
Sorry, I need that louder.
The Joe Rogan. The fucking loser.
That's how I feel about it. Okay, so it looks like Colleen Melody, that was their choice. She's up 50.11%. Jamie Hawk and Mike Diaz were the choice for everybody. So between Democrats, that's who the big battle was for. And it looks like, well, I can't even say how that's going. We have to look at the state results, the entire state results, because that's just here in Snohomish County. In Snohomish County, Jamie Hawk has the lead on that. So we'll look at those later. But those races are pretty
I
good.
confirmed with Brandy. Jamie Hawk is the one judge I've met. Like,
Oh, does she I voted for Jamie Hawk, but don't tell her. No, I mean, I'm live on here. Not that anyone's watching, but
no, we went to like a parade in Bothell, and afterwards we saw her and spent like half an hour talking to her and a couple other people who were at that same table with her, other politician fight type folks, so she seemed nice enough, and yeah, so I have met Jamie Hawk.
awesome. Yeah, well, I voted for her, but if Diaz wins, but she's looking good right there, so that's great. I am really passionate about this PUD district. Don't like,
Okay.
and it's not. I mean, Janet St. Clair is gonna make it through, but it's not looking like super great with Sid Logan at 51%. He's the incumbent. But Janet St. Clair ran for state senate or house, I can't remember, in the 10th. Was unsuccessful, but was very close to winning. So it looks like she will be going to the general, so we'll have to just reassess at that point. And then I'm very happy to see that the city of Everett levy is being approved by 74%. Thank you for approving fire. And now, oh shit. Yep, we won. Sorry, I'm so excited. Fire District 15, the Tulalip Bay Fire Department, we needed 60%, and we're at 75 almost. Yay! That's fantastic. That is fantastic news. Okay, well, I'm good with this, so we can be done. Oh, and the library district. Libraries are important. So yes,
Did
we
library
stood
win?
up.
Yes,
Oh,
library
I'm
won.
so proud. I am incredibly proud of this work. Way to go, team. Did we do better than Everett though? I want to do better. We did do better than No, we didn't. Slightly better than Everett so far. We only had to convince a few people, though. Well, what else do you want to look at? Should we look at, like, I guess, statewide, like how things are looking?
Yeah, sure. You were. This is all Snohomish stuff we were talking about, right?
Yeah, and like Stacy actually, like, I was looking at Stacy Willoughby running in the 12th. Like, she will have a different county in there. Also, Dave Paul, as will Clyde Shavers, will actually have to. I'm gonna stop
because their districts are split.
Yeah, their districts are split among counties, so those results will look slightly different.
While you're looking that up, I'll just give an update on
please do.
On Michigan. Michigan's now at 47% reporting, and it is tightened further. We have Al Said at 49.68, Haley Stevens at 46.56. And I have to flip back to, I'll try to check the socials to see, like, because, you know, the people who really know this stuff know, like, which counties are outstanding and which way are they expected to go.
I'm sorry, but like, why is Mallory McMorrow in here? Like, what is that about?
She dropped out too late to be removed from the ballot. Because it was a three-way race, and she dropped out only a few weeks ago when it became clear she was going to be in third no matter what. And she made some missteps in her campaign about and emphasizing certain things that got her in trouble and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, because a lot of people liked her too. But she's getting 3.77% of the vote anyway, even though she dropped out a few weeks ago. But again, she dropped out too late to be not on the ballot. She was already on the ballot, but she dropped out, and I don't know. I don't know if she endorsed one of the other two or not.
It just bothers me that people, like 3.7% of people voted for her. Like, come on, like
she's not even running, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
are they all mail in, or do they? I don't know what Michigan does.
No, well, they've got some early vote clearly, but I don't think so. I'm sure there's some people. There are always some people who will do that. I mean, if you remember in California, what was it? Stalwart. How do you say his name? Stalwell, who dropped out after like sex abuse allegations and all this kind of stuff. You know, there were still like tens of thousands of people who voted for him or whatever, you know. I mean, the percentage was tiny, and I'm making up tens of thousands. It might have been thousands. I don't know. But there was still a percentage of people who voted for him, you know, because they wanted to, you know. So, and you always get a percentage doing write-ins no matter what, you know. It happens.
I don't think that the data is updated yet. Okay, so we got our county stuff, but I don't think it's updated in here.
Okay.
The results are not updated for the state.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Come on, they should get their act together.
I know. No, I mean, I know that county's got to send their results, so... Okay, let's go look up another one. Who else? Like, let's go look at Spokane count. Well, shit. I mean, are they even counting things?
You think they won't be?
I mean, I don't know.
Because of the fire, right?
What's burned, you know, over there.
I imagine they're still doing something. Like,
I mean, of course they are, but like, it's you know, what a time. I don't.
There might be delays. There might be delays in terms of getting accurate results, like because you'll get parts of the county that are fine that have submitted their results, and other parts maybe not yet.
Oh, I just clicked statewide. Oh, here's the statewide results.
You found it?
Well, Spokane County shared it, so thank you, Spokane County. Secretary of State, yeah, State of Washington. Maybe it's just hard to find. Oh, no, they shared it, but it's just Spokane County results. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll just look at this one. Okay, Ledge District 3, Natasha Hill, which is the only Black woman who is, or Black, I think, representative period that was elected east of the mountains, is doing great, 63%. Here, I'll share my screen. Sorry, I'll get into the weeds too much if I do this, so you gotta, like, stop me. You know what I mean? You really do.
Yeah, it's okay. That's
okay, I just care about,
like
Pam's doing well. Oh, okay. Well, interesting, because, like, this one's a big race, too, between Luke Jasmine and Pam Kohlmeyer. Well, the Republican is winning, but it looks like Pam Kohlmeyer, as of now, would be going into position 2. Interesting. District 4. Just a bunch of Republicans running in Ledge District. We couldn't get a Democrat over there? For real? Ugh, Rob Chase. At least Rob Tupper's giving him a run for his money. Okay, this is the race. Okay. Okay. This is excellent for our listeners. Okay. All right.
Hey, it works for the people watching the video live stream. And you could always like cut it out at audio if you wanted to.
You're totally right. I know. I'm just laughing about it. Okay. So we got, as I suspected, Julia Payne will be going up against Jonathan Bingle, likely. She's up not a ton, like less than 500 votes. But yeah, so like I said, running as an independent is not a good idea because people don't know what you really believe. What is an independent? No one can quite say what that is, right? I don't know. What do you think?
What an
If you're
independent
independent,
is?
do you believe in anything? Like you're just independently thinking about every situation? How can I trust you?
Well, honestly, the thing is, you have to evaluate each independent one by one. That's the whole thing. A lot of the times these days, independents are stealth one of the other parties and are just trying to hide it. But sometimes they're real oddballs that have like all kinds of crazy opinions that really like they highly agree with Democrats on some things and highly agree with Republicans on other things in a way that seems incoherent to most people. But one interesting thing, actually, like, sorry, detour because you asked about independence.
Detour.
Like, one of the things that is going on right now in Montana is that there is an effort to get the Democrat to drop out of the general election because the Republican is hardcore MAGA for their Senate race. The Republican is hardcore MAGA. The Democrat is polling, has no chance, but there's an independent in the race that if the Democrat dropped out is showing a tight neck and neck race versus the Republican. So this ties into what we were starting with at the beginning. That independent is much more centrist, conservative. They're more like an old-fashioned traditional Republican in the pre-MAGA days than they are like a Democrat. But they're arguably considerably better than the MAGA Republican. And so the question is, and it looks like basically the general election, if it's a three-way race, the Republican wins. No question about it. If the Democrat drops out and lets it be a Republican versus independent race, the independent has a shot. And at least it would be more like a Romney Republican than a Trump Republican. And so is that the strategic right thing to do? So far, the Democrat has said absolutely not. I'm not dropping out. Yeah. So anyway, so you never know. Independence, and it depends a lot on the district. It depends a lot on the state. It depends a lot on the individual. What the hell do they actually mean by that? And so, unfortunately, it's one that you can't just generalize. You have to look into the individual.
Well, and that's what I mean. We've talked about this several times today. Most voters are not doing as much work as you and I are doing. They're going for the quick answer. And when you have to like explain to people, what do you agree with? What don't you? Or if you're a wolf in sheep's clothing for either party, that's not fair to Republicans. That's not fair to Democrats. Like that's not fair to either side if you're not being truthful with if you're pretending to be something else. And then I think it's just also really hard to narrow down issue by issue what you care about. You can come to DC or the state capitol and have different opinions once you're there, but like who are you going to caucus with when you're there too? You know what I mean? Like how is that even going to work? So interesting and again, like if you're looking at previous results and the world just kind of repeats and certain things work and certain things don't. If we haven't elected an independent in our state since the first year, but since the year we were founded, I feel like, 1889, I think it's not a good idea. It's just not a good idea. But there's some people that I know that were running as independent Democrats. But again, that to me is like, try the name out, try the label. At least you have, something that identifies you in that space. So, interesting. Okay, let's refresh the state results and see if that's anything new. Everything else is pretty standard in the other seats. Actually, let's add that up. Can you do the math for me? Because I can't.
Oh God, math.
Oh,
I've
I know.
got a
Well,
calculator.
probably faster than me.
Now,
Okay.
I'm bad at arithmetic, but I've got a calculator ready to go.
No, that still is like 47%. The results of the Democrat in the race, I mean,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I don't know how many like Republicans ended up voting for Croft, if that was the case, or what's going to happen there. But the person who got the closest in the past before redistricting, which is now a city council member for the city of Spokane, got like 47%. But that was pre-redistricting. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up with 51.23%, 25.63%, and 22.91% among the two, the Democrat and the Independent. So that adds up to about a little over 47%. But some of those could be Republicans, I guess, that just couldn't stand a Republican. Like, but I don't know because I think there's a lot of Democrats that actually like that Republican. So I have no idea what to say about that race. Or at least a lot of like historically Democratic organizations that ended up endorsing the Republican, mostly Labor. I'm going to give Labor a hard time on that, but oh well. All right. What else do we want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. We like election result. It's still narrowing in Michigan.
Oh, I mean, yeah, we could stay on the phone and wait for Michigan.
It may or may not be called tonight. You know, I don't know. It's 4908 El Said, 4713 Stevens. This is the kind of closeness. If we're like at under 2%, they might even end up like calling for recalls and all this, recounts and all of that kind of stuff. You know, you don't know. Those usually don't ever change anything unless it's like less than 0.5%. It has to be closer than this, but you know, we'll see. Oh, what do you got? You're looking at
showing you
individual
I
counties.
don't know much about these precincts, but this is where we don't have results. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is there any more up here? 8, 9. 9 areas without. Yeah, we have 9 precincts, or that wouldn't be that. I'm sorry. What would you call that? Counties?
Those are counties. Those are counties.
Sorry, I'm just really tired. Like, what are we looking at here?
Precincts are usually a bit smaller.
This isn't a legislative district. This is a state. Emily, get it right. This is why I do this show. This is why we do civics. This is why, because most people don't know what we know, Sam, and I certainly don't know that much, but I know there's people that know less than me. So, and you're not even paying attention to the state.
I know I should do better. Like, I get dribs and drabs from listening to my wife talk about things, and like there's certain races that she's more invested in because like her friends from the legislature are in those races. So I hear more about those, but yeah,
I know.
I have no good excuses.
You know more. I get my national news from you and Yvonne. So, and you share it in a fun way. So,
I'll plug myself since you mentioned
plug
that.
it. I was about to share your stuff. So
our podcast is Curmudgeon's Corner, where myself and my co-host Yvonne chat throughout. No, not chat throughout the week. That's our Slack. No, where it's a once a week podcast, and actually this coming week it's going to be our 1000th episode of the podcast.
Amazing!
We have not missed a week since we launched in. Oh God, 2007?
That's crazy.
Is
Okay,
it
I'm going to give you a clap.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I looked up the tutorial today and got really excited about all the sound effects I could use.
Yeah, we started in June 2007 and haven't missed a week since.
That's amazing. I can't believe it. Like I was so stoked for our other friend in the podcast network, the Snohomish Podcast Network, Sarah, who had 100 episodes. But I'm like, oh my gosh, 1,000 episodes! Congrats. That's incredible. It's so cool, and
Yeah,
I love tuning in.
I'm planning. I, I I shouldn't promise anything because I've only got 3 days to get it done and I have to figure it out. But I was going to do something where before the show proper starts this coming week, I'll have clips of like episode 1, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, and just like short little segments just to give a taste, and then jump into episode 1000. So we'll see how it goes. See if I have time.
That's great. All right. Any more results? Okay. Looks like he's way farther ahead, honestly, to me on this.
So the one you're looking at, yeah, we're up to 50. The one Emily's looking up is up to 56%, and he's gained a little bit from when I quoted it back at like 53% just a few minutes ago. So there's been a little bit more of a drop, and our a ballot drop. So now you've got it at 49.5 versus 46.8. It's still really tight.
Yeah,
but,
it is because there's still 650,000 ballots to count.
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
And again, it really depends where we are. You know, you were talking about Poly Market and Kalshi and the betting markets and stuff.
Yeah.
They had just looking at Poly Market before election day, they had El Said at 98.9%. As election results came in, that dropped to 76.6%. But with the latest ballot drop has gone back up to 88%. But, you know, there's a lot of problems with these betting markets. But, you know, that's what they have at the moment. But I think, you know, I want to hear what, like, some of the talking head experts who really know all the counties, like you know, like Karnacki, you've got up the NBC News website on the screen that Emily is sharing, and but it doesn't show like his live little commentary and stuff, and because he goes crazy with the board and he's touching things and he's bringing up different counties and telling you what you should expect in each county and how it compares to previous elections and what votes are outstanding and where, if Stevens is going to catch up, where do they need to get the votes from and all this kind of stuff. And, you know, I can't imagine, like, I'm a political junkie, but I can't imagine packing all of that information about counties all over the freaking country into my head. Like, no, I can barely remember my own name. You know, same. This kind of stuff. You know, no.
I'm wondering if I can do this even because he's right there, isn't he? In the corner, isn't that him doing it? There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
You're gonna run into legal issues. Don't do this too much.
Oh my gosh. You're right. I guess you're right. I didn't even think about it. Okay, wait. What is now? You can't hear it though, so
no, you can't hear it. Yeah, they probably won't go after you. When Yvonne and I for Curmudgeon's Corner for the last couple of presidential elections, we've done live streams for the entirety of election night, from the first polls closing all the way until, you know, the end of the night when the result has been pretty clear. And that's a lot of fun. And we have like screens like this up in the side. Like it's not on our live stream. You only hear Yvonne and I talking. But we're processing the results as they come in. Cause like we talked about the Washington State things. One thing, you know, I love Washington State. I love the vote by mail. I love all the 100% vote by mail. I love that. The one thing I don't like is they only do a ballot drop once a day with more data. So you get your 8 p.m. update when the polls close, and then you don't get another update for 24 hours. Actually, I think they put it at 5 p.m. the next day. So slightly like 21 hours later.
So that we're like one of the few states that do it that way, or what?
Yeah, no, most states, like the results are dribbling in all night. Like precinct by precinct. There's not like a single drop at a single time. It's like as soon as the polls close, precincts start reporting their data, and you start getting precinct by precinct data from all over the state. And it slowly builds up until you have everything hours and hours later, because typically really small precincts, you'll get their results like within minutes. You'll get the previously tabulated vote by mail stuff in the states that allow that to be tabulated in advance right away. And then you have results dribble in over the course of the evening. And then, of course, California famously is super slow. They don't fully, I mean, even like in every state, like the time period to make it official is like 2 weeks usually. But like in California specifically, it dribbles in over the course of the whole 2 weeks. Like here in Washington state, yes, you get results dribbling in for 2 weeks, but you pretty much know the results after the first day, and in really close races after a couple days. But like in California, like you can have like a major race still be uncalled like a week and a half in, but yeah, like from the point of view of like what would be sort of good for the Republic, you probably shouldn't have any intermediate results reported at all. You report the result once you've finished counting. You are done. There's nothing left to count. Boom, here are the results, one shot. Now, the reality of that is you couldn't report results on election night in most cases because like and there was just a Supreme Court case about this where it was validated that, yes, you can count ballots that were postmarked on election day, even if they didn't arrive on election day. So as long as that's true, you have to wait a few days for those ballots to arrive, right, to count them. Mm-hmm. So if you did that, you would not have results on election day. And I know people are like excited about that. But one of the things that that Donald Trump has used to his advantage in all his election denial about 2020 is specifically the fact that the first count that shows up on election night may still not include lots of ballots that may make a difference in the end. And so whenever he sees the situation, people talk about the red wave or the blue wave or not the wave, the red mirage is what I'm thinking of, not the waves, where they're, depending on the state and the voting patterns in the state, sometimes the early results favor one party or the other, and the late coming results favor the opposite party. And people see the fact that the initial results say one thing, and then that lead starts deteriorating. And sometimes it flips as evidence that there must be fraud. When in fact, it's just the count coming in.
It's ridiculous for them, sore fucking losers. Losers.
But having said the fact that, like, from the point of view of civics, it might be best to only give final results once they're really and truly final. From the point of view of a politics junkie, I want real-time results all the time. I want to be sitting here watching individual votes being counted and see the numbers tick up and see the little graphs changing. And that it's fun to watch this kind of stuff. If I wasn't talking to you right now, I'd probably have Kornacki on my TV right now, listening to him or one of the others. I'm kind of sad Kornacki, in the divorce between MSNBC and NBC, NBC got Kornacki. And I kind of like wish he'd gone the other way, but like I love watching that kind of real time election night coverage, and especially the geeks like him who are like I said, pointing at the individual counties and talking about sometimes even individual precincts, and well, this precinct hasn't come in yet, and this is where this candidate's going to have a lot of strength, and so you can expect that. It's just fun.
Yeah,
but that's politics as sports, which, that is kind of my thing, because I don't do actual sports, but I love following politics as sports, but that also diminishes sort of the importance of it. It's not just a spectacle. It actually matters. It impacts people's lives in a way that an actual, baseball game or something wouldn't, but, oh well.
Oh, well, look at it. Well, never mind. You can't see this. You're watching. You see, you do have Kornacki on. So, like,
Yeah, because
I
you put
am
on.
creating the
I have
experience for you.
Kornacki on this screen, and on my other screen, I have MS Now. Stupid name, their new name, by the way. I have that up on
Yeah.
the other screen. I would have my four up, all four news networks, but I get my TV from YouTube TV, and they will do four up on devices. Like if I had it on my phone or on my TV, I could have like all four news networks up at the same time. But on there, if I'm watching on the computer, I have to pick one, which is annoying. I like having all of them up at the same time to compare like what they're saying. What is Fox saying versus what is MSNBC versus CNN? The other of the four is BBC, and they probably wouldn't even have live U.S. election coverage right now anyway. But whatever.
Statewide, Jamie Hawk is at 33%, while Mike Diaz, and this is for Supreme Court Justice Position 3, he's at 20.57%. So I'll just round up 21%. She's killing it there. So that's interesting to see how that is going. Let's look really quick. Congressional districts. Emily Randall, 49%. For Congressional District 6. Come on, I want to see all of the count, like everything. Show me it all. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Susan Del Bene is winning by nearly 50%. Sorry, there's the funny thing was when I was in DC, I get this text message. And we got to go visit the DCCC.
Okay.
And so it was like really close to our hotel. We went up there. We do that every year. And they talk about, how they do their work. Susan Del Bene is the chair of the DCCC, the D Trip, we like to call it, and is doing that. And I get this text.
I'm in her district. Are you in Larson's?
I'm in Larson's, yeah.
You're in Larson's,
yes,
but
yes,
I am
yes.
in Del Bene's district. So
yeah, and the 38th is split. So Susan, when they redistricted, Del Bene got Marysville, which used to be in Larson's district as well. So, which is where I grew up. So I walked in the parade with her, and it was a rough day because not many people in that area knew her at that time, and it was interesting. But it's quite funny because I got a text message while we were there. I'm literally a block away from the D-Trip offices where we were staying. And I get a text that says, she destroyed our party, about Susan Del Bene. And it was a message from Hunter Gordon. And it was like a 425 number. It was kind of weird the way the text message came through. And my response was, who dis? But I just was like a little bit concerned, and it was, just sending you to donate. And it was a little yucky in that way. And so I'm just glad that didn't work. Not to say that I don't get where people are coming from, but I don't think it doesn't make me feel good that I know how hard Congresswoman Del Bene works and that her team works. And so I was like, please, when you're offending and saying that and, putting her down, you're putting like a lot of people down, that are working really hard and fighting really hard. So didn't like that much. Marie Gluesenkamp Perez. Let's see how Brent Heinrich, he's Abdul El Said, the Democratic candidate trying to run against Marie Gluesenkamp Perez. Gluesenkamp Perez is at 38.9%. Brent received 15.3%. Let's add up the Republicans. So John P. Rocco, 1.92%.
okay. You want all the Republicans or all the non-Democrats? Because there are a few
I would say let's do all the non-Democrats.
independents in here. Okay, wait. 1.92, 1.52. Okay.
Oh, you can see it okay?
Yeah.
When I'm looking at that, it's hard to see, so I just assumed.
38.71.
Definitely
for
put the
biggest
Cascade
one.
Party in that.
0.55 for the Cascade Party, and 1.33 for Kellogg there. 44.03.
And then, so I guess the Democrats are winning, are taking the cake in there. But Democrats will do better, will do worse. Democrats will do worse in the general. We typically do in those counties.
Okay.
What do you think? And Marie Gluesenkamp Perez could pick up some of these Cascade Party people and maybe some of these independents. I don't know. Right? Or she could pick up some of these people that are like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Right? She's not running
generally,
against a crazy person now, so.
generally speaking, I mean, not always, it depends. But like when you have these sort of everybody together type things, or you have runoffs or whatever, you add up all the Republican leaning, add up all the Democrat leaning. If you add up all the Democrat leaning and they're over 50%, then you're there. And that's the case here, because all the Republicans added up to 44%. That means the Democrats are about 66 or 56%, which is still a majority. Now, it sometimes doesn't work out quite that way, and sometimes things just change between the primary and the general. But you can get it. Like,
Oh,
for
no,
instance,
I'm feeling really good about like the Dems, just the two Dems together getting 54%. Like that.
Yeah.
Like truly that 54, even if we lose some and she does worse in some counties, and some of the counties that are in this district have the highest voting percentage right now. So that means that like as those ones come up, like they've already voted. So fascinating, just fascinating. So with that, Marie, if you get elected, you can do things that are not in favor of Israel, and you can be a little less judgmental of people who are different than you, ma'am.
Well, I think this kind of thing is one of the things where, you know, we talked a lot about the El Sayed Stevens race earlier, but one of the things we'll see, assuming El Sayed pulls it out and wins, which he is ahead right now, we're up to 60%, and he's almost at 50. His lead is gaining again. It looks like he's going to win, but assuming he wins, this will be a test about whether he can win in the general. And, you know, and I think if he does, then that, you know, there's been a lot of talk over the last however long about sort of more progressive candidates, even the DSA candidates winning, but they're only winning in deep blue districts. And of course they can win there, but they're never going to win in purple areas. And they're going to cause problems for the Democrats in purple areas, because the Republicans will tie the most extreme DSA Democrats to Democratic candidates throughout the country, even in purple and red areas where they're fighting to win, where you really need a purple Democrat to win. And we'll see if El Sayed wins this and then goes on to win the general election in Michigan, then that will sort of show that maybe this whole strategy of the only way Democrats can win is to try to move to the center, or even a little bit to the right of center, to try to pull in some stray Republicans. Maybe that's not the only way to win. Maybe you can win by energizing people further to the left as well. And I think that it's an interesting debate, and this will be a test of it, and we will see. I honestly, when I hear those debates, I think, you know, this has actually already been proved. This was proved by Donald Trump. Donald Trump did not even try in the slightest to go after the center. He was 100% a strategy of, let me get the most rabid folks on my side. In fact, let me get the people who never vote to come in and vote because they're excited about me. And it worked.
I mean, I think I don't think that is wrong for Democrats to do. And like I said, I think that, quote, the moderates, you know, who would have preferred Haley Stevens or would prefer the moderate, or who would even have that argument, are going to support him going into the general. Do you know what I mean? Where I don't think that was the other way around. So I don't think you actually lose the moderates when you put forward someone that is.
Well, the question for the general is not whether you lose the moderate Democrats. It's whether you lose some anti-MAGA Republicans who are definitely Republicans, but are anti-MAGA and so are sort of wishy-washy, and it's whether you lose them.
Yeah.
But you know, the thing is with all of this, and I you know, as you were asking me whether I would come on, I was thinking I should mention this, and I haven't yet. To reiterate something I've said on my own show a couple times, I think what is the key dynamic here on the Democratic side right now is not really an ideological difference or a difference on any particular issue. The appetite is for people who seem like they're willing to fight and be aggressive and you can have moderates like there have been examples of some moderates in Virginia. I think I'm forgetting the names, but that were also being aggressive and acting like fighters, and you can say like, well, you know what? There's a practicality here. Are you going to fight about something that you can't possibly deliver? But I think a lot of what people are frustrated with when they talk about the quote unquote establishment Democrats is not actually a policy difference. I mean, there are some policy differences. Don't get me wrong. Some of the Israel stuff is definitely along those lines. There's some other things. But I think it's primarily not a policy difference. It's an attitude difference. Are you fundamentally trying to sort of, hey, let's go back to normal. Let's go back to how things were 20 years ago, and like where you know the Republicans and Democrats can have a nice fight on the House floor and then go have drinks together and be happy, or you know, and where everything is about, hey, can we come up with a bipartisan deal, versus people who are like, you know, basically fuck that, like, they are crazy. They are wrong. They are doing evil things. We need to use every ounce of power available to us to drive through our agenda and be aggressive about it. Now, and people can debate what is that agenda and have a healthy debate within the Democratic side of things about what should be in that agenda and what should not be. But I think the key is that attitudinal thing. And also, I mean, it's not purely age, but there's a generational thing too about like, you know, are you actually savvy about how to operate in today's media environment? Or are you thinking that, you know, all you have to do is go on the Sunday morning news shows, you know, and have your nice little interview. And that's part of the thing too. And I think what you're seeing a hunger for, and there are a lot of parallels, honestly, to what the Republicans went through in 2016. I hope with better policy outcomes and things that aren't evil, but it's people, the people who are frustrated by the status quo, are frustrated by nothing happening, are frustrated by people who seem to be triangulating their views based on what they think will win in the polls rather than like actually advocating things that they actually believe in strongly. And I think if you have people who are advocating for the things they believe in strongly, they can convince people to agree with them. They can actually persuade people through the power of their charisma and their ability to push their agenda. But I think people are tired of like, oh, let's just try to be calm and work it out and everything will be okay. And they're tired of people who seem to be like not really saying what they really believe, but instead saying what they think they need to say in order to win. And I think that people detect that and it turns them off. Anyway, that's my little rant.
I also think it could be an overcorrection too. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You know what I mean? But when I see some of the things that the Republicans have done to Democrats, and then I've seen Democrats do the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Back to Republicans, like I guess I'm using like lock him up, type thing. And we like it's one thing for us to say it as Democrats to like mock the president, saying that about Hillary sorry, I'm not even calling the president, mock Trump about what he said and him doing that and like constantly being lock him up. And he legit should be, but like we just kind of revert back to doing the same thing. And it goes back, like I've been reading that book, The Fourth Turning, and Amy Poehler brought my attention to it, and it doesn't make me upset, but I just see like we keep like overcorrecting. It's like yin yang, seasonal, you know what I mean? The way things go. And so it's kind of funny because when I think people are like, I'm tired of this and we need change, it's just this, like you said, the same thing that happened in the Trump era, right? But I'm okay with moving forward if that's what we think we're doing. But I don't know if we necessarily are when we end up using the same tactics. I'm not saying we're using the same policies, but I think sometimes we're deploying the same tactics as the party before, and it's just over and over and over again.
Well, the problem with these things is the escalatory spiral, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if the other side is using these tactics and you refuse to when it is your turn, then of course the direction overall of policy is going to ratchet in the direction of the people who are willing to be more aggressive about it. And I'm not necessarily, I would not advocate, hey, let's do all of the illegal crap that Donald Trump has been doing and completely ignore all laws and just say, go ahead and stop me. I don't want a left dictatorship in an alternative to a right dictatorship, right? But at the same time, hey, let's use every tool at our disposal like that we can do legally and not restrain ourselves in the name of civility and, the sort of way it used to be and getting back to it. So like, if we need to kill the filibuster and be aggressive, kill the filibuster and be aggressive. If we need to let in new states, let in new states, you do what you need to do within the parameters of the law, but but don't leave things on the table just because, you have to realize, hey, we're in a world where we've got a 6-3 Supreme Court going the other way. So like, you have to figure out something that can survive that. And if your plan is something that you just know, okay, even if we succeed, the Supreme Court's going to declare it unconstitutional a year and a half later, then that's not a good plan to start with. Come up with something else.
Yeah. Agreed. I also have to apologize to Clyde and Dave. They're actually doing great if you look at their numbers right here. If you look at count, and with all the counties included, Snohomish County wasn't super for them, but
but they're doing better when you look at the multi-county. and I'll mention too, in the Michigan race, El Said versus Stevens, El Said is now over 50%. As we're at 63% reported now. And like the betting markets now have him back up over 95% chance of winning.
I'm frankly grateful for that because again, like I'm grateful for that. If this is about winning, I've talked myself into it after all of the things that I've heard today that we can win with him. And we are more like, I'm not saying Democrats will win, but I think that the chances are better. I really don't believe that it's the Republicans that are anti-MAGA. This is just my reaction to that from what you said. I don't think there's enough of these anti-MAGA Republicans to that will drop out and not vote to make that big of a difference. I'm more worried about the super progressives or whatever you want, the Democrat. I'm more worried about the Democratic Socialists. Sorry.
Well, again, I am more worried about looking at existing polls. It looks like Stevens would have been a dead heat with the Republican, but El Said is a little bit behind right now, a few percentages behind. So right now with an El Said candidate, you have to say the Republicans are slightly favored in Michigan, but there's time to make up that gap.
Yeah, there's time, and we'll just have to work through it. We'll just have to work through it. And people responding to that now might also be influenced by what they think would be the better option. Do you know what I mean?
I think that that's very true. And one of the things we'll see, it usually takes especially a state like this, it'll be a while till we have enough polls to see what's going on post primary. But I think, watch for Michigan polls over the next 2 to 3 weeks and see if they start to move. And even before that, I think what will be interesting to see is what's Stephen's reaction like? What is her concession speech? Does she throw herself 100% behind him? Or, is she a sore loser? I think that makes a difference because their supporters will pick up on that.
Thank you for listening and watching the Sir podcast. Sam and I got cut off, but that was a great place to end for the evening. Remember to support these therapy sessions and follow the Sir podcast on Instagram. Subscribe to our channel on your favorite platform and comment or leave us a review. The Sir podcast is a Bossy LLC production with edits, production, and content support from Trent of Red Trucks LLC, and of course, the amazing Sammy Blood. As always, a special thanks to Brian Bradley for the Sir podcast theme song. Have the week you deserve. Toodles.